So welcome on the podcast, Brecken.
Thanks for having me.
And we're just gonna dive because you're very interesting because you work at Dan Purser and you've been working at Dan Purser MD Physician Design and AO essentially from close to the start. I don't know with Dan Purser if it was exactly the start.
Yeah.
But then you also started a TikTok account and you became a full on creator, which is really cool. But yeah, like what is your role at Dan Purser MD Physician Design and AO Biologics?
It's kind of interesting because it's the three separate companies, but they all go hand in hand so well together. But I've been a part of Dan Purser MD since I was a sophomore in high school. And that was 2012. So that was 10 years ago that I've been working here. And I think the business has been around how long?
Yeah, so that was something I wanted to bring up a little bit. There's just a couple of us that have been around for a very long time. Mm-hmm. It all started with just Denise and Dan Purser. Yeah. That's our mom and our stepdad. Yeah. And they started the practice back in like 2004, 2005.
Yeah, right around there.
Right when they first got married. Mm-hmm. And so it's been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it literally was just Dan and Denise for a long time. Mm-hmm. The two of them, they brought on one little receptionist to help here and there. And then, all these years later, almost 20 years later, it's quite the practice now.
It's grown a lot.
Yeah.
And it's changed a lot, too. Like, we were in a plastic surgery group before, just renting a room, basically, to, like, see patients. And it kind of slowly started expanding from there and there and there. And recently, past 2-3 years, we were just getting so many new people that we could see and help. So we had to expand into our new office, and so it's been really fun bringing in whole new people, whole new area. I don't know. It's really.
When was the expansion to the new office? I can't remember.
Was it 2020?
Yeah, it was October of 2020, November 2020.
It was crazy when everything, most businesses in the world were all just shutting down and sending everyone to work from home. We had to do the exact opposite because we needed.
We had so many in the little office. There was 5 of them back there. Justice Jared, Bailey was working. We had all our front office staff with Dr. Purser, and it was too much. There wasn't enough room.
Even at the time during it, the whole plastic surgery unit was shut down. It wasn't deemed.
That's true. Necessary.
Essential business.
Essential workers.
Ours was, which was very interesting because we were working with a lot of different COVID cases and other things. And so the whole top of that floor was essentially open and empty because there were only a couple of their receptionists there that were just still there trying to work with patients here and there. But so we slowly started encroaching on the space more and more, and we tried to see can we just let us use this whole space, and they didn't let us, so we had to jump over to our own offices. And I think it was definitely the best thing we could have done. To really expand into our own space and just really get growing from there.
We wanted it to be too.
Because before I know Brad was working from home, and then were you two working from home?
Majority of the time we were working from home, unless I was working front office in the clinic.
At home in the townhouse together.
Yeah, we actually lived together. I'm married to Brad, who's his brother. Mm-hmm. And then this is Jackson, my brother, But we all lived together in a townhouse, and we had all our product there, physician design. We'd ship it out, and that was so crazy. We'd have 5 orders, and we'd be like, "We're doing so good." And now we're shipping out a lot every day, and so it's grown a lot. It's really.
I remember when I had to get a basket during the orders
because we couldn't hold it in our hands anymore.
And even at that time, we would just pack the orders in Ziploc bags, and then we'd take them to the UPS store, and they would actually package them for us and ship them out.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. I remember I came down. Maybe it was for Christmas, or maybe it was just in the fall. I came down and I was hanging out with Brad, and he's like, "Hey, I gotta go run the orders." I was like, okay. I thought he was just going to drop them off. And then we go to the UPS store, and we went through the whole process, and it's completely different than what it is today.
Way different.
Oh my goodness. And that was only 4 years ago?
Not even that.
3?
Since 3 years ago, since I moved.
2019, right?
Yeah. 2020 is when I moved, actually.
Yeah.
So 2 years.
Yeah.
2.5. Because and it was our when we sold out of VARs, that's when we had to change everything because it just wasn't
we had this
sustainable.
We had a backlog of VARs orders, VARs glutathione from Physician Design. It was so interesting all during that time, during 2020. I mean, that's when our store and things really popped up. People finally were seeing us and seeing the products that we had and saw the real benefits of it. And so it was, I remember in March 2020, like we sold out overnight of Vars glutathione.
It was insane.
And so we quickly were trying to get our next order in. And then I think we had, for us at the time, it was like over 1,000 orders that were like backlogged. We were taking pre-orders. And so we had a whole packing party one day to try to go and just do our old systems of just how to print and pack and do all of our little slips.
It was like on my ping pong table too.
Yep, down in your basement.
In my basement.
Yep. Things have changed a lot just over the last couple of years.
And what's been like the best thing you've seen over like those 10 years? What's been like either the best or your favorite memory or experience that you've had?
Yeah, I really like it. We have a lot of people come for conventions, and they'll be like, normally in the practice, we'll only see anywhere from like 5 to 10 people a day. And like 10 is a lot, I would say. But during those convention weeks, we would have people coming just for blood draws to get their blood done, you know, and we would have sometimes 30 plus people just coming into the office for draws. And just like actually having that physical moment with them, because a lot of our practice is telehealth now, so we don't get that face-to-face interaction. But it was just so fun to actually see the people who we've been helping for years, and like that it's made a difference in their life, and that they're so excited to see us. And like, I don't know, I just think it's fun. And like, I haven't really been face-to-face with a lot of patients, like, so it's really fun for me to actually meet them and like, you know, get to see their personal experience.
Cool. Yeah, some of those patients that are, and just some of Dan's followers that have followed us for a whole decade or what, and they finally come in and come see Dan in person, and so we get to meet them, and it's just like, oh, I know you. I've seen you in the videos.
Heard your voice. You know, or the ones
fun.
who have been long-term patients. They've seen us grow up in ways.
Yeah.
Where we have a couple where they're like, I remember you.
That has to be so like not weird, but like kind of trippy. Like,
like Chantel too.
Yeah.
In the summers we would go and just hang out at the office because my mom would work with Dr. Purser or Dan, and we would just be in the break room, all of us in the summer, and trying to behave and be good. But it was like, it's just those memories that you remember growing up in the practice, you know. And Chantel, she's been that one where she's went from a baby to now, and so watching her grow up, I'm sure for some of those patients, they're like, who are you now?
No, it was just that in those early days of the practice, Mom took little baby Chantel with her every day, just because there was nowhere else to put her or nowhere else, and all of us kids were at school, and so Chantel has been part of the practice from the very beginning as well.
Literally. And now we have Finn, our nephew, who comes in.
That looks just like Dan.
Literally Dr. Purser's twin.
Yeah.
And you guys have seen him.
We need to show that picture again of the little Dr. Finn. Yeah.
He's so cute.
Yeah. It's crazy, just like even like with like, I know with genetics, it can just change based off of each child. And like how Cyrus, there's aspects that like he looks like a Purser, but then there's a lot of aspects that he looks like Olivia.
Yeah.
And then like the same thing with Finn. Like I would say there's a lot of aspects like he looks one side than the other side, you know? And as they grow up, it's crazy just like how much they can change and like how much they develop, you know?
So true.
Because like even like my niece and nephew, they, at first when they're born, they look just like the mom, and then as they grow up, they look more and more like the dad.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of crazy, like just to see it over time. And I don't know if there's any science behind that, or like if there's any like reason for like those genetics, or like how it can like split based off of each child.
Yeah, it's just people kind of grow up and change over time. I know when Jared's our brother, who's in medical school. When he was a little kid, he looked a lot like our mom when she was like a little kid. But then me and Jared, people always thought we were twins because we just look so much alike anyway.
Yeah. I thought so until I started working here.
And now people tell me I look a lot like my dad, and Jared looks a little bit more like my mom. I don't know. It's just interesting, the mix of it all.
That's interesting.
No. And like me and Brenna look a lot alike, but like me and Bailey, I don't think we look a lot alike. But Chantel's kind of a mix of both sides. That's a fun thing to see.
Yeah. So just to help understand, we have a big family. We are a small Utah family. I mean,
small Utah family.
We have 10 siblings, and so some are step siblings or whatever else. Yeah. But so there's a bunch of us, and so.
And that's why like this medicine with Dr. Purser, he has so many kids and we all have so many issues. And so like I'll say, for example, like MTHFR. I'm sure you guys have all heard of that with Dr. Purser, following him. He actually found that because of me. Because I was 17 and I went to school. No, it was even before I went to school. I had chronic fatigue my whole life, and it just never would go away. And then on top of that, I started getting high blood pressure at only 17, and like I get really shaky hands, and like I have shaky cold hands right now because it's freaking winter in Utah right now. But and he was like, "What's wrong with you? You shouldn't have these issues so young, and like you're pretty healthy. You know, you shouldn't be dealing with this." And then he did some blood work on me, and it was hormones, and it wasn't anything major. But when I went to Hawaii for college, it kind of like went away, but not much. So we didn't know if it was my diet or the elevation or anything like that. But I came back to go on a church mission, and we did some testing on me, and it was like red flags. I was not allowed to go. Like things were bad. And he's like, "You are way too young. You're 18. You should not have these issues. So I need to figure out what's going wrong with you." And he just looked at all my symptoms, and I had like a high homocysteine level, and like that's where you could be risk for stroke. And he's just like, "What's wrong with you?" You know? And he started researching, and he was like, "I kind of feel like it might be this genetic issue that I'm kind of seeing pop up." So we found some kind of genetic testing and did it on me. I think at that moment, was it 23andMe, or was that even before? No, it was a blood test, the first one I ever did.
Like even through SpectraCell, maybe
I don't think it even was SpectraCell, but it was a blood test, and he was like, "We figured it out," and it was positive. So he got me started on like just B vitamin support, where it had a bunch of different things, and we stayed on that for a couple months to see if I could just start to feel better, because he was like pretty convinced that this is what it was, but we had to test and see. And my homocysteine levels started going down, my blood pressure started going down. It was just like all those things that were red flags started to go away. And so that's where we kind of figured out that it was MTHFR, and from there it just took off. And that was like a basic B vitamin support, and since then we were adjusting it, trying to figure out what vitamins were actually necessary in there. And I feel like now there's so many better options, because I was taking things that would make me feel sick at times, and then all the folic acid and folate, you have to get the right groups to actually feel right, especially with your specific genetics. And so yeah, that's how we figured out MTHFR in a way.
Yeah.
But it was
that pointed him on the pathway for it, and that's what's so crazy is even just figuring it out for you, and then it expanded to the whole family, and we all realized we have MTHFR. But then now the thousands and thousands of patients that he's helped because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, his #1 book, The 85% Solution, and just how much he's talked about over the years and educated around the world now about MTHFR and the problems with it, all the methylation issues.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing that it's just trying to helping the family.
Yeah.
Was able to help the family of the
Exactly,
world.
Yeah. And that's what he cares so much about people, that he wants to figure out the real issue, He just couldn't let me suffer, Thank goodness.
Yeah. No, that's always the interesting thing too. We've never fully told this, like the history of the practice. Because even the very basis of the practice, when he first started, was all about hormone replacement therapy. And it was still very new, even back then in the early 2000s. It was a very hot topic. And so why he even started with that is because of his car accident that he had. He had done a ton of research on pituitary damage and all the hormonal issues that come with that. And so he really was just trying to save himself. He had a new daughter on the way, all these new stepkids running around everywhere. He wanted to live for them. Yeah. And so the very first steps were trying to figure out, how can I even stay alive? And so that's where the practice quickly started getting traction even back then, because the very basic principles of just balancing out your hormones allowed you to feel young again and got rid of so many other issues. And then time progressed on and on as we started looking more into all these different genetic errors and realizing that so much of the hormonal issues are because of genetic errors causing vitamin deficiencies. And so that's really the basis of the practice now. He still does a lot with hormones, but now it's all based on what are your intracellular deficiencies? Why do you have these symptoms? And let's get you feeling better. It's so amazing. It's been such a fun journey to see how it's all progressed, and that's where all of our products have come from, is because looking at these very specific deficiencies, and then how do we get these people feeling better? But of course, all of us kids, we've always been the guinea pigs for every single thing.
Yeah, and I'll even tell you, when I had mono, because it just would not go away. At first, he should have realized it was mono, but he was like, "You have cancer." He scared me. But then he was like, "Why aren't we testing you for mono?" And it was just mono. But it's like those symptoms don't go away, and they're hard to figure out. And that's what we get a lot of our patients are these people with these chronic issues that don't have an answer of what it is, you know. And doctors, they just write it off. It's just like, oh, you're sick, you feel bad, you're in pain, I'm sorry, that's life, you know.
Put you on some pain meds and antipsychotic meds and really just send you on your way. There's not much they know how to do. And that's what's so sad. And so again, Dan has educated doctors and people all over the world. And I've been at so many different conferences with him, and people are just, they're blown away by the very simple things that he teaches. Of just the good nutrition in equals good hormones out, and all that really means. And then, so many of those patients that have told us, I've been to 7 different doctors and no one has been able to figure me out. And that's what Dan loves to do. It's like, okay, well, really, what's the base here? What's really going on?
And people are catching on to that across the world. People don't want just a Band-Aid solution anymore. They don't want another prescription drug to take, you know, and like, that's why it's really cool to see like genetics and nutritional health, because you can do so much more than just take a pill for the rest of your life. Obviously you have to supplement for a time, but like I do believe in the diet changes that you can make too, and there's so much more to that. But it's really cool that it's actually a sustainable life change rather than just suffering forever, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, because I think that's what, at least in the United States, I feel like that's a huge problem is when you go to a doctor and you feel pain or if you feel a certain way, they don't really look into like the actual causes of it. They're like, oh, it's gonna be just this and that's it. But then you try it, like if you try to treat it or if you try to like work through it, it goes away for a second, it feels like, and then it's just right back. And there's never like an actual change or actual like solution to it. And I think that's what really makes the practice different is that it's finding that root cause, changing your diet, changing your nutrition, and then adding the supplements necessary into your life. So you're not dependent only on medicine. You're not only dependent like, oh, you have to take an antidepressant every single day because you have depression, you know? There's ways to move away from that and be able to have a healthy lifestyle without always having to get a prescription or having to take all these different like medicine or like I don't even know how to describe it. It's just there's things that they wanted to prescribe to make like the effects go away.
That's true.
I don't know. I think that's just very, very interesting.
Definitely. I mean, and all of us kids in the family, I call us kids, but we're all adults and running these companies now, but we're still the kids. But yeah, I know, I mean, for me personally, my own story and my own journey, when I finally started taking things really seriously, of dialing in my nutrition, getting those things all under control, and then really balancing out hormone levels, my life changed. I was finally able to do the things that I wanted to do. I'm finally in my stages of getting fit. I mean, it's been a lifelong battle. And so it's so cool that we actually can offer this to people. I remember a while ago, Dan had the idea of wanting to call some of his practice, what he does in there, the Healthy Corporate Athlete Program.
I remember that. Oh my gosh.
I still don't know exactly what that means. But it is just that. What's fun is like I'm living that right now, where I want to be able to perform better. I want my mind to be sharp. I want my body to be strong so that I can go and help as many people as I can. And so that is what we have to offer to people.
Get back to living.
Exactly.
Across the board. That's what we want people, is to be able to live life to the fullest again. Because we have so many people who they're stuck lying in bed. You know, I've had those moments too, but you don't have to live like that forever. And there'll be ups and downs as life is, stressors, you know, but there's more. There's so much more that you can do.
I think it goes back just even to like the quality of life instead of the quantity of life. Because I think that's what happens so often is like if I can just like suppress these different like pains I have or whatever is going on in your body just to have more quantity in your life rather than the actual quality. Because again, whenever you take like a prescription or if you take something you have to take every single day, there's side effects to everything. And so like if you are getting those side effects, I feel like in my mind that is suppressing your quality of life rather than just because you're going for the quantity that they're wanting you to have, you know, or like what you're wanting to have. I think it's just what the practice is just so important, especially what Dr. Purser teaches is just enjoy your life, make every moment count, as well as be able to feel your best as you're doing it, because it's not going to be it's not going to be next day. Mm-mm. It's not going to take away like all the pains in one single day. But it's as you do it, as you continue working through it, you can really start having a quality of life that you want, that's sustainable for the rest of your life.
Totally. That's so true. I love that.
Sustainability. That's exactly it. What can you do for the long run? Yeah. For those quick fixes with pain, though, Ceramax is pretty good.
Yeah. I know. I think that's what makes Ceramax very unique, is that it's not a painkiller. It really helps as a topical relief, but it's not your digesting it. It has to go through your liver and your kidneys, all that. It's not destroying your insides just to have relief and be able to feel your best. Because I know, like, we all have aches and pains, you know? And, like, rather than just, like, there's, like, that phrase, just man up or just suck it up, you know? You can really use Ceramax. And, again, it's not addictive. It's not going to make, you don't have to be like, oh, my goodness, I can't go, like, a second without, like, having to take this, you know? But it can really help your life be even better.
Yeah, improve the little things, you know? Like, I randomly slammed my finger in the door, and I was like, okay, this hurts really bad. Like, what am I going to do? But I remembered I had Ceramax, and it was like my middle finger, just slammed it. And I just put it on around, and, like, it didn't really hurt. It was kind of weird. And usually when you slam your finger in the door, it swells up, and it looks all bruised and nasty.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have that. My nail underneath was kind of dark, but, like, their round edges, not at all. So it's just, like, those random things like that, too, that you don't even realize what you can take or what you can do. Randomly Ceramax, just put a little bit on and it helps.
Yeah.
So
I remember even a story from our sister-in-law with little baby Finn. He's just a little baby toddler, you know, crawling around everywhere, and he just bonked his head really hard one time. We got instantly like had a goose egg popping up right on his forehead. And on one of those purser foreheads, that's a big deal.
That's a big goose egg.
But no, his mom, Olivia, I mean, she'd had the Ceramax right on hand and knew instantly, like, yeah, I'm just going to go put it on and see if it helps. Yeah. And so just like that, I mean, the swelling went down real quick, and he was just right back to normal. Didn't even seemed like he didn't even have it at all. Yeah. And so it's all the weird little things is one of the really beauties, I think, of Ceramax is just how many uses it has. Try it.
Endless. Yeah. Honestly.
I want to know, with all the products that we've made over the years, what has been your favorite product or the one that you've used the most?
Yeah. So this has just transitioned recently, because I was always in the MTHFR indoor, because that's what I had the biggest effect with like me, my fatigue, and just like my overall just well-being. But brain support is winning right now for me, because I really went a while without taking it just to see what, like, I took it and I felt like quality, like my brain moved faster, and like I haven't taken it today, so I kind of feel, I don't know if it works that fast, but sometimes I feel like it does. But like my mental like focus was so much honed when I would take it, and then I stopped taking it for a while just because I forgot to grab a bottle. So I probably went 2 or 3 months without taking it, and now I've been back on it for about a month. And the focus that I have to actually like buckle down and get work done, and like, or even like cleaning the house, you know, or just those tasks that you have to focus and like cooking and stuff, I feel like I've been able to actually do that, because I've always had such a hindrance of like, okay, I don't think I have like the mental capacity right now to push myself, you know, but I've really been trying hard to like push myself further and do more. And I really kind of feel like the brain support's been doing that for me, because I went a while without it to test and see what it could do. And so brain support, I would say, is my product right now.
It works. Yeah. It just works. It's amazing.
And it's so crazy because it works for like a lot of people and in different ways too. Yeah. That's what I think is really cool, because I've talked with a lot of patients and customers, and a lot of the times they'll be like, oh, is this good for my grandma she has maybe dementia, or she has like these kinds of old brain fog, you know, that kind of stuff. And it works great for that. But we also have people in college who are studying hard, and they just need that extra help and push for that mental focus, and it helps them as well, you know? So I think it's just really cool kind of supplement, because it does so much for so many, you know, that's
definitely.
I think that's really cool, especially with the brain support, like with what you're doing with Utah Chef Kiss. there's a little plug for your TikTok. Go make sure you go follow. But it's really cool because like you mentioned the last month that you've been taking it. I feel like especially balancing work and all that you do with physician design, AO biologist, and Dan Purser MD, and then plus outside of work, you have obviously you have a husband, you have 2 dogs, you have things going on, you have a whole family that you're with, but as well you're starting a new TikTok account and becoming a full creator.
Yeah, and I think it is because like we all talk about just feeling better, having a better quality of life, and especially going into like winter months, this is when people start getting depressed and like sad. But like I don't feel that right now. Like I feel like okay, we can get through this winter, you know. And Utah winters suck. I hate winter. Like I said, I went to college in Hawaii, and that was the best time of my life, you know. And so, you know, I usually don't have that motivation going into these months, but I feel good, and like I like. With Utah Chef's Kiss, I've actually been cooking more because I'm not a good. You can ask Brad, my husband. I have not been good our whole marriage of cooking. That's been my like weakness. I will go and get meal prep kits where they send me meals for us just to reheat. But I've really been trying to like do more, and like we had Thanksgiving dinner with you early, and like I made almost everything from scratch just because I felt like I could.
It was so good too.
Yeah, that's great. So I don't know. It's just kind of fun. You know, life can be good. You know, that's what I feel like. A lot of people don't have hope, and I feel like there's so much that you can do if you figure out these problems that you've been dealing with. Because high school, I didn't go to school. Like, I slept in every day because I couldn't wake up. Like, my mom would have to come downstairs and wake me up or call me multiple times. And even in school, I would be falling asleep in class, or I would be so tired and drained that I didn't remember what I even learned, you know? Luckily, I made it out, and I was doing online classes from home, partially too, just so I could graduate. But, you know, you don't need to live like that. It's so sad. And I feel like there's a lot of people who deal with those issues, and it's just part of life. That's normal, you know, and you can do so much about it. And that's what I'm really grateful for, to be a guinea pig to figure it out.
Yeah, definitely. No, the improvement of quality of life. That is the basis of everything that we have to offer. Between our practice and then our multiple companies that create products, everything is meant to give people a chance, give them a fighting chance, and then get feeling great. Yeah. That's really what the promise of it is. I mean, we've all been there where we're just so downtrodden. It's hard to function every single day. Yeah. But like you said, you don't have to. There's so much more out there.
Yeah. And you throw fibromyalgia on top of it too.
Right.
It's a great time. Genetics are fun.
We should have a whole episode just about fibromyalgia and our own journeys with it. Yeah,
totally.
It's very particular, but again, once you get under control, it's amazing.
And that's the thing. I think I talk with a lot of our patients who they are like, I have to cut out all these foods and I have to do all this to feel better. But it's like, once you get over those initial, sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years of getting into those good habits and taking your body actually filling up the right way with the right, absorbing your copper the right way or taking it out the right way, you know. Once you get past that, you can start eating those foods again. That's the biggest thing. People are like, I can never have sweet potatoes ever again, or I can never have mushrooms ever again, or avocados. But it's like, you can. Like, I eat them, and I'm totally fine because I think I've given myself the time in my body to process it the right way, and I'm taking the right supplements. I'm doing the right things for it to actually process it the way it should be in the first place, you know? So it's kind of like hacking it in a way where you get to change the way your body and your genetics are if you do the right things for it. Yeah. So I think it's kind of cool, fibromyalgia, what you can do. Yeah. But definitely. Yeah, it's complicated too.
Yeah. But no, that's why, I mean, we have so many great resources now. Even just looking back over these last few years, I mean, Dan has always had books and little video series here and there, and people are always finding them, which is great. But now we have a lot more in place and a lot more plans to have more resources available for anyone to just come jump in and start figuring out what's going on.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I think just one last thing, and we can go into Utah Chef Kiss. But one thing that amazes me with like the practice and honestly everything is that the education is always there. Like there's always like, because I feel like Dr. Purser always has like that mentality of like, how can I help that person right in front of me, or like the people that are listening to what he's saying the best way that he can, you know, and giving out I feel like a good amount of his knowledge just right to everybody, because he just wants everybody to feel better, you know? Yeah. I think that's what amazes me, like that, because like, especially now, modern day, a lot of people want to be paid, or like I know on TikTok, you see different courses. You're like, hey, if you want to exceed in your Google ads, take this course that costs $400 just to understand a little bit more, you know? Or like just different things like that. But Dr. Persher always just wants you to understand it for yourself and not have to waste so much time, effort, money just to find one little answer, you know, or something that could really help your life. And I think that's just always amazes me, especially with this Facebook Lives. It's just always getting you to be on the right path, you know? Yeah. And again, if you come and visit with him, he's always, because my wife and I, we've sat down with Dr. Person, and he's just very open. He's just like, you ask him a question, and he's like, this is my thinking. I can do a little bit more research into this, but this is what I understand so far, you know? I think that's just, I love seeing that.
Well, I think it's really cool to see a doctor who isn't afraid to say, hey, I don't know about that. Let me go and research that, read studies, pull things, and figure out for you what that means. Because a lot of doctors are like, well, I don't deal with that, sorry, you know? Yeah. And I enjoy that. Like, my husband's type 1 diabetic, and we had some complications with him getting diagnosed. And there were a lot of doctors who just, they didn't know all what was going on, or it was a weird case, and they just said, sorry, that's all. You know, but I was really grateful to Dr. Purser. Obviously, he's my dad, so he wanted Brad to be okay. But he was with us in the trenches trying to figure out what was going on, you know, and that really makes a big deal, you know. Yeah. I appreciate that, you know, always digging deeper, you know, finding the answer.
Oh, yeah. Let's go into the little Utah Chef Kiss. So what made you start that account, and why? What have you enjoyed so far about it?
I don't know what made me start it. I just kind of was like, we were making TikToks for us. We were making videos, and I was like posting on my own TikTok, you know, having fun with my dogs, that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, I know a lot about Utah. I know a lot about food in Utah, because we all go out to eat. That's like my family's love language is food. And we love it, where it's just family time together and you get to experience something. And I was like, okay, I feel like I could make recommendations to people, or I could showcase other businesses in Utah that I really enjoy and feel like they're underrated or they're not getting enough traction, you know? So I kind of made Utah Chef's Kiss to do that, and I've had a lot of fun. I've worked with a couple different companies and businesses just to see how they operate and what they're trying to put out too, because that's what I've learned in this is everyone has something they're passionate about and that they want to help change the world with. And these businesses and even restaurants, and they want to do the same thing. They want you to feel emotions when you're eating the food. It's not just like fuel, which you need fuel, you know, but sometimes you can go to a restaurant and it's going to create a memory and experience for you that you won't forget, you know, and I enjoy that. I like those kinds of experiences that make you remember and make it matter more to you.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah.
And I think I don't know. I like watching your videos because I'm like, I feel like I'm there. I can see Brad opening, like if it's like the bread, like kind of like pulling it apart.
You know, he's always my model.
Yeah.
Even though he picks at his nails, he's still my hand model.
But like I just feel like I'm sure whoever sees your videos, they can feel like they're at that restaurant. I think it's really cool. And like one thing I do like is that you always try to find the good in a restaurant, even if it's poor customer service, or if it's like the food was like okay, you know. You are always like, but they had a great atmosphere, or like it was the food was phenomenal, what, you know. But what has been, if off the top of your head, maybe like the top 3 either best places you've been or ones that you weren't expecting to be really good?
Kind of an experience and food. My favorite one so far, and I think because it was like I got to go with Brad, but we were able to go to the Harmon's cooking school, which I think is a really cool experience anyway, just learning how to cook. And there's a real chef who's teaching you these techniques and like little tips and tricks, and we were making sushi, so it was extra fun. But it was just fun because it was a group of people we'd never met before, and you're all kind of in this room cooking and cutting sushi, and like you have sharp knives, you know. But it was really just fun experience, like getting to be with my husband and like we're doing something new together that we've never done before. And I don't know, it's like that's something that was like a date night that I'm always gonna remember because it was just fun and just unique experiences. I don't know. I think I really love those kinds of things. And so that was one, definitely.
When Brad got the, was it like a knife warning, or like he was, he's just like just kind of messing around?
If you know Brad, he's always doing something, but he was kind of like, we were cutting avocados to like slice them very thinly to lay on top. You're supposed to hold the knife like at the tip, you know, where your knife safety, you know. He was holding it at the very end of the handle, cutting. So it's like the avocado's right here, and his knife is all the way up here, and he's slicing very carefully. And she's like, let's remember knife safety, people, you know, like. So, and he kind of wiggles it around. He's just having fun.
Oh, Brad.
Yeah. But
Okay, so that's probably your top one, but then what's
That
some of
was-
the other ones you liked?
I'm trying to think. I've been to so many new places too. That's been what's really fun.
I have to imagine that's like, especially being in Utah most of your life, and going to different restaurants that you've like never really like maybe just like overlooked, or you just like you had like a special spot maybe like in Utah, you know, or in Provo, but you trying out different shops. I'm sure like you weren't expecting a lot of them.
Yeah,
you know?
because like our family has like key places that we've always loved going to, and like those are the go-tos. And so I love those places, and I want to share them too. But I also feel like there's so much in Utah that like I just would drive past every day and not even realize was there. Like another one right here in Orem, because Brad actually went on a church mission to Brazil, and so he loves Brazilian food. But there was this little, like, it was called Sweet Avocado. So I thought it was going to be, like, maybe a dessert place or something random. But I looked at it, and I was like, this is Brazilian food. And, like, Brad looked at the menu. He was like, this is authentic Brazilian food, too. So we went, and it was, like, just a cute little mom-and-pop shop. And the food was so good. Like, it's Brazilian food, so it's you have to know what those flavors are. But everything's good, you know. But just, like, that was really fun, too, because it was something I'd driven past countless times to get to the office. And just stopping by and realizing what was there was really fun, you know. So that was another one I really enjoyed.
I've gotten to go with you a couple times to different restaurants.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites was that one down in Provo called Saida.
Yeah.
Which is,
so
they
good.
have sushi, they have all sorts of bento boxes and pho, everything, and it's all absolutely delicious.
Good.
And it was so fun because I went in with you there while you were making the TikTok, and the owners or whoever else were there, they were so excited that you were there making a TikTok. I've gone back multiple times, and they're like, is your sister coming? Is she coming again?
And that's what's really fun is I get to see their, like, excitement and passion for what they've created, too, and they're so happy to like talk about what they're building as well. Just like we get excited about what we're building to help other people, they're helping people too in a different way. So I've really enjoyed that, like just talking with new people too. And that's been good for me because I'm an introvert. So like even doing this right now, you can see I'm red.
You are red.
I don't know. I don't always love doing that, but it's been good for myself, just pushing myself and doing new things. And I've been like I went out with you, and like I've been out with my dad more. I've been out with like cousins and family, and so it's like it's just been a good experience overall where I just can do more, you know? Because like I've always been the kind of person where I'll go to work, come home, be with my dogs, be with my husband, and go to bed, you know, because I'm so tired. But it's like I don't have to do that. You can do so much more in life. You can.
And that's what I love, even just like the name of this whole thing of the good in, good out. I love always framing it back to what we do in the practice of the good nutrition and good hormones out, but it is so much more than that, where it is all the good things that you put into your life. There's good that comes out of it. Yeah. And so that's what I've loved watching you with that. And even I was on a date the other night with a girl, brand new girl I just met, and she got talking about TikTok and food on TikTok, and she's like, yeah, I follow this one channel, Utah Chefs or something. I was like, that's my sister.
I know.
So we're quickly pulling up. I was showing her, I'm in the videos.
It's so fun. Yeah. I know. I look a lot like my older sister, too, and she had a friend who was telling her, like, I found your twin on TikTok. I don't know who this is. She's like, that's my literal sister. And it's just so funny. So you'll see my face pop up every once in a while.
And you went to Seattle recently to see some food as well. Yeah. What was your favorite place up there?
Ooh, that is tricky. We literally, all we did was eat that trip. We walked and we ate, and we walked and we ate. But I don't even know how to say this. It was a Turkish place, and they had like a Turkish pizza, which it was like a flatbread, and then it had this like meat sauce almost. And it was just something I'd never had before. Like those kinds of flavors. I don't think I've ever had Turkish food before. But I love flatbreads. I love pita. And so we went, and that was my favorite because it was just so unique. But it was like familiar, but not. So it was really good. I don't remember the name though, so I feel bad.
Man.
But it was right by the market, Turkish place. So.
A Turkish pizza. I've never heard.
I know.
Heard that before.
It was really good.
Interesting.
Really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you just like in the future, are you thinking about going to like other states, cities, traveling a little bit to review, or are you mostly sticking
but
to?
I think with because my name is Utah Chef's Kiss, I want to focus on Utah because I feel like there's so much underrated here, and I'm kind of thinking about expanding more too because there's so many experiences or just small businesses that I feel like people don't even realize are here that I could also showcase and like kind of have fun with. And like my family, we all kind of went and got tattoos the other day because it's a family thing. But just like going to that parlor and experiencing that and seeing those people, it's like their art, they love doing that. And so it was fun. I made a video on that showcasing them, and they all really were happy to see that. So I don't know, I think I might start doing that more too, just showing other small businesses and other things, and hopefully I can show our stuff a little bit too. So this kind of medicine that is right here in the valley, because we have a lot of people from outside of the state come to us, but not a lot in Utah. So it'd be kind of fun to show more Utahns all the different offerings in Utah.
I like that because especially in Utah, it's a very active state. There's so much to do. Especially spring, summer, fall, even like just
winter skiing too.
Exactly. I don't even think about that because I'm like, nope. I like doing cross country skiing. We went, I think, last year, and it was a lot of fun. But the way that it starts, it's like so it's a golf course that just a bunch of snow on it, right? And it's on a hill. And the first thing you do, you put your skis on, and essentially it's just a big drop. And then I just remember like my wife Angie, she was up on like by like the clubhouse still, and I'm like, oh, no worries, I got it, like it'll be okay. And I'm like turning around to like see, like talk to her a little bit more. I fall down the hill. And I'm just like, I'm never gonna go skiing ever again. Actually, cross country skiing is not bad at all, but skiing, I'm like, I'm gonna fall.
First time ever on skis?
First time ever.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's hard skiing right away. Like not even going on a bunny hill, or anything.
Yeah, it was just a drop. I was like, well, this isn't for me. This is not my calling in life.
I'm trying to imagine you on skis because you're so tall. It would just be kind of funny.
Yeah, it was an experience, but like exactly that though. In Utah, there's just so much to do, and like especially I feel like there's so many entrepreneurs here that they just start up shops and like either they take off or they rebrand to do something else. And I think how you are doing this with Utah Chef Kiss is so cool that you're like just showing off small businesses. And I think especially like even after COVID, how much it affected small businesses. I think it's so important to realize, hey, you don't have to always go to a big chain, or you have to, especially like relating it back to like the practice, rather than getting like the standard procedures of like medicine, you can go and find the right or like a different type of medicine that you can be able to find the root cause. And that's exactly what small businesses in Utah offer. It's more of like a unique experience to Utah.
Yeah, and it's like the personal customer, like it is all Utah based, so it makes it familiar too. And I don't know, it's just really fun seeing those local businesses and trying to support them too. So I think it's good.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast with us today, Brecken. I'm sure we'll have you on again. And I say, we should do one like even with Chantel and just talk about the fibro stuff.
That'd be good because we're all kind of different ages too and different symptoms as well. That's the crazy part. So I think it'd be good.
Cool.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah.